This man does not want to admit. I have yet to this day have found a cracker that's going to admit that he's an Edomite. He don't want to know nothing about Esau, Edom, the word Edom. He don't know what that is, where it came from. He wishes that word would disappear. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord power, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out mine hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of the Dan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel.
Now, it didn't say, I'm going to lay my vengeance upon 97% of Edom by the hand of 50% of Israel, right? It didn't say, I'm going to lay my vengeance upon 80% of Edom by 100% of Israel. What did it say? Read it again, please.
I will lay my vengeance upon Edom.
What does the word Edom mean? It ain't talking about the man Edom. It's talking because Edom, the man, has long died, man.
Yep.
We reading about his descendants.
Yep.
The Edomites. Go ahead.
Talking about the people.
Talking about the people. So when it says, I will lay my vengeance upon Edom, it's talking about 100% of them.
Yep.
It's talking about Miss Ann, It's talking about their babies. It's talking about all of them. There ain't no scripture that even come close to what Bubble-Eyed Blackfish said, talking about there's a handful of Edomites that's going to deny their father. There's no scripture on that. There's no scripture that even come close to that. That's why not too many people watch his ass. Go ahead.
I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord power.
Go ahead. Read on.
It says, Thus saith the Lord power, because the Philistines have dealt by revenge, and have taken vengeance with a despiteful heart to destroy it for the old hatred. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I will stretch out mine hand upon the Philistines, and I will cut off the cherethims and destroy the remnant of the sea coast.
In other words, not just Edom. We're going to get them Hamites. We're going to get them Moabites. Matter of fact, get me Numbers 24.
Yeah, man, because we can't forget about you other nations too. Because, we really focus on this devil so much, man. But you Africans, man, ooh, man, when that time come, because, man, that shit you was doing when you caused the so-called Negroes to come over here, and you Arabs, it was you, and you was the Arabs and the Africans that got Jake over here in the first place. And y'all did everything Esau did. You were torturing Jake. You were raping the Israelite woman. And Moab, you goddamn gooks, Ammon, Japheth, all you all going to get messed up. And we're going to equally just mess you up, man. We'll get you on slavery, man.
So go ahead, read that next scripture.
All right, this is Numbers 24:14. And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people.
This is Balaam, whose eyes were open, talking to Balak, the king of Moab, the so-called gooks, Chinese. Go ahead.
And I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people.
Because if you read it's a good story. If you read up above that, really, if you go to the 23rd chapter and the 24th chapter, that's a whole story pretty much. Basically, Balak wanted to have Balaam, this spiritual man, put a curse on the nation of Israel. So they're going back and forth. Basically, and what Balaam said, he said, look, man, I'm going to tell you what Israel going to do to y'all, you and these other nations. Because all those nations that he mentioned, they were all in that region of that land at that time. In the future, which we're in now, or we're coming to the so-called future, everybody was scattered. So in the near future, this prophecy is going to take place. This prophecy is about 3,000 years old. So this prophecy still didn't take place. It's about ready to take place. It can take place in the next 6 months. Go ahead.
It says, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. And he took up his
The latter days is talking about now. We're in the latter days.
And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, he hath said, which heard the words of the Most High, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel.
Yeah, that star out of Jacob is talking about Yahweh Shai. That's in Revelation 22. If you know what that is, you can go to that. Yeah, and all you other Israelite groups, you half-assed Israelite groups, you guys that are taking the winter off, the Most High going to phase all of you out. All right?
This is Revelation 22 and 16. I, Yahweh Shai, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star.
So that's the bright and morning star. That's how we know that Balaam was referring to the Lord. Because you had the prophets talking about the Lord 3,000 years, 3,500 years before he came on the scene. Moses spoke about the Lord. And what is that, Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter?
Yep. It says, there shall come a star out of Jacob. And
that's Yahweh Shai. There shall come a star out of Jacob.
And a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that...
Dominion means lordship. We're going to be lords over you. Go ahead.
And shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable.
That's them so-called gutter rats.
He took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever.
What does that mean? His latter end shall be that he perish forever. That means that he's going to be destroyed, completely destroyed, liquidated. Go ahead.
And he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock.
That's those Hamites, because the first cave dwellers was Hamites, Canaanites.
Nevertheless, the Kenite shall be wasted until Ashur shall carry thee away captive. And he took up his parable and said, alas, who shall live when the Most High doeth this? And ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and shall afflict Ashur, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way.
Yeah, so that's what's going to ultimately happen. Just like the elder said a few minutes ago, we always talk about what we're going to do to Esau, but it's what we're going to do to all these nations that are not Israelites.
I got some real quick. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 14. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Yeah, the script, like you said, the scriptures cover everything, man. We're getting ready to close up. Anybody got any last thoughts? Go ahead and say what you got to say.
Yeah, basically, like Elder Tahar said, the topic with this whole thing was we were breaking down Django Unchained. Pretty much, we're going to reiterate what we said, man. That movie was a spiritual movie. It was a beautiful movie. I dare say it was the best movie ever made. And it's prophetic, man, because that's the spirit. You need to be in that Django spirit right now,
and
man.
That movie you could never, if you think back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they would never let that movie come out. Once it Elite screened it. They said, "Nah, you ain't playing this goddamn movie, man. This is the right time for the how you said the metal is hot. You know, when you hit the hammer to the metal when you're making a sword, the metal is hot, man.
Right.
You know,
to be forged.
Right, ready to be forged, and that's the spirit working on these devils. Like I said, the so-called Jews, they were behind that. They backed that shit up because the opening of the film.